Today's topic is osteoporosis. Osteoporosis it, it means decrease in the bone mineral density. It basically makes the bone fragile, and even in case of low energy trauma, the bone gets fractured. There are various risk factors for the osteoporosis are there, which are divided into the primary risk factor, additional risk factor, genetic related risk factor, and the medication related risk factor. First of all, we will look at the primary risk factor, which includes the past history of any fracture, smokers, and the first degree relative having the fragility fracture. And one thing to remember here is, note down kindly, alcohol is not the primary risk factor for the osteoporosis. Now, next is the additional risk factor, which include the female, the advanced age, the menopausal woman, estrogen deficiency, and even the race. These are the additional risk factors. Alcohol is also included in this category. The medications which are associated with the risk of osteoporosis are anti-epileptic medications, steroid, basically glucocorticoid, and NSAIDs. NSAIDs, they are not the risk factor for the osteoporosis. The genetic risk factor, which include the genetic polymorphism of the some genes like calcitonin receptor 1 gene polymorphism, vitamin D receptor gene polymorphism, and type 1 collagen alpha 1 fiber chain gene polymorphism. There are two types of osteoporosis, type 1 and type 2. Type 1 is postmenopausal, type 2 is senile. The postmenopausal occur in the 50 to 70 age group. It involves the trabeculae and the most common fracture involved are distal and radius and the vertebral body fractures. Net charge of calcium is negative in the type 1. In the type 2 occur in the age group more than 70. Type 2 trabecular as well as the cortical involvement occur, but the trabecular is more involved. Hip and the pelvis are the most common area where the fracture occur, and there is also the net negative charge, but that negative charge of the calcium is because of the poor calcium absorption in case of type 2. How do we manage or we evaluate and manage these osteoporosis cases? For the evaluation, we have the CT scan, quantitative CT scan, and we have the DEXA scan. DEXA it has been approved by the WHO for the bone mineral density measurement, and this measurement done at the three level. One is spine, one is hip, and one is the pelvis. Now the indications for the DEXA are specific for doing DEXA scan. There are four indications. One is all patients of age more than 65. The patient would have the age less than 65, they should have one or more risk factor for the DEXA scan, but there's some exception. One is the female, one is the post-menopausal woman, they are not included. For the post-menopausal woman, the criteria is different. If the post-menopausal woman, she demands the investigation about the osteoporosis, or she is inquiring about the osteoporosis, in those cases it is done. And fourth is the post-menopausal woman had previously fractured. The fracture occur in the fragile bone even after a trivial fall in case of osteoporosis, and the fracture mainly occur in the bone where the cancellous area is large. Now, regarding the management of osteoporosis, one thing we have to treat the fracture, then we have to go for the lab investigation to rule out the secondary causes of osteoporosis. Now, the secondary causes of osteoporosis, it includes thyrotoxicosis, parathyroid adenoma, bone marrow diseases like multiple myeloma, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, type 1 diabetes mellitus, and the Paget's disease. Medical management of the osteoporosis, it includes a lot of medication. First is the daily calcium therapy plus vitamin D. The dosage of calcium is 1200 milligram in the form of citrate or oxalate, whereas the vitamin D 400 to 800 international unit daily. These are basically for the prevention purposes. These are not for the treatment of the osteoporosis. We can give in the osteopenia. Now, daily calcium requirement in the different age group is different. For example, in the 1 to 3 year age group, it is 500 milligram per day. In the 4 to 8 year age group, it is 800 milligram per day. And in case of 9 to 18 year age group, it is 1000 to 1500 milligram per day. And for the other age group, more than 18 years, it is 1200 milligram per day. It is kept that range. Second is the bisphosphonate therapy. It is the first line medical management therapy in case of osteoporosis. The mechanism of action is it gets accumulated in the bone matrix, bind to hydroxyapatite, and after binding to hydroxyapatite, it inhibits the osteoclast functions. Uh, it inhibits the recruitment and the apoptosis occur of the osteoclast because of this bisphosphonate. And they actually inhibit an enzyme called as farnesyl diphosphate synthase. Now, there are two types: nitrogen, non-nitrogen containing bisphosphonate, and there are two formulations available. One is oral, one is the IV formulation. Let's talk about the oral formulation, that is alendronate and isadronate, and the IV include the palmidronate and the zulendronate. The oral formulation side effects are gastritis, esophagitis, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and constipation. Whereas IV, they also have their side effects, which includes flu-like symptoms and the fever. So to prevent this, always along with the IV, this zulendronates and palmidronate, concomitantly we have to provide the NSAIDs, and we have to also antihistamine to the patient. Now let's talk about the specifically about the alendronate. Oral bisphosphonate. It is the most effective one, oral bisphosphonate. 5 milligram daily dosage is approved for the 2 years, followed by the 10 milligram daily for the next 2 years. Now, weekly dose is also available, which is 7 into 5, which is 35 milligram per week. Now, let's talk about the outcome of the alendronate. What it does, it decreases the fracture rate and it increases the bone mineral density by 5% per year. And the decrease in the fracture rate, basically the spinal fracture, by 50%. Now, next we will talk about the IV, that is palmidronate. It is an off-label used drug for the osteoporosis, not actually approved one. It is given in the intolerant cases, like oral bisphosphonate are not useful, or the patient are intolerant to bisphosphonate. The outcome of the palmidronate is it decreased the fracture overall by 50%. Now let's talk about the overall outcomes in case of bisphosphonate. First, alendronate. It decreased the fracture by 50%. Risedronate. It decreased by 40%. And then sulendronate. It decreased the fracture by 70% in case of spine and 40% in case of hip fracture. Now, next drug is a teriparatide in the medical management. It's a PTH analog. PTH contains the 84 amino acid, whereas the first 34 amino acid are being used in the teriparatide. It is used in the refractory osteoporosis cases where the vertebroplasty, kyphoplasty, and even the bisphosphonate are not useful in despite of the two management. Still, the patient is having severe osteoporosis. Those are known as refractory osteoporosis where the teriparatide is used. Now, it is a recombinant hormone. It is a N-terminal parathyroid hormone, teriparatide. It is important, the N-terminal parathyroid hormone, this, and the daily subcutaneous injection, it is the available form, and it should be given in the daily subcutaneous injection form. Continuous treatment is avoided because of resorption of the bone, and daily and intermittent therapy, there occur the increase in the bone mineral density of the bone. And regarding the therapy, should not be combined with the bisphosphonate. It should be given as a monotherapy because both given does not have any additive effect. There are a lot of studies which say that. Now next we have the option simple parathyroid hormone, 20 microgram dosage and subcutaneous form is available. Next drug is calcitonin. It is available in the form of miacalcin. Now, there are some specific points for the miacalcin we need to know that it is helpful in the bone pain also, and the effect comes in the 3 weeks durations. It decreases the risk factor of the vertebral body fracture only. It does not decrease the risk factor, the risk of bone fracture in case of hip. So it is not protective for the hip fractures. Now next up we have the denosumab. It is a rank ligand inhibitors which are located on the osteoclast. And this denosumab is a monoclonal antibody. It is a subcutaneous injection available, and the side effects are arthralgia, backache, and the nasopharyngitis and the osteonecrosis of the jaw. Now the contraindication is the severe hypocalcemia. It is a contraindication of the denosumab. Now regarding the outcome of denosumab, which is as follows. They decrease the vertebral body fracture by 68%. They decrease the hip fracture by 40%. So this is a very good drug basically. And for the non-vertebral fracture, it decreases the risk by 20%. So remember all the three in a separate. Now let's talk about the non-medical management we are available are. Non-medication management, what are available are physical therapy. One is physical therapy, and the another is hip protectors, orthosis. They should be worn. And the minimal invasive spine surgeries like vertebroplasty and the blepharoplasty. Actually, there is a difference between these two procedures. These are done in where the vertebral compression is present. Now, let's see. This is the vertebral compression picture. Suppose this is what we're talking about, the vertebroplasty, where there's a needle is inserted into the bone and the PMMA is inserted. In the second case, we are inserting actually a device which have a balloon which will inflate, and after inflation, the end plate will be raised and we inject the PMMA polymethyl methacrylate, that is kyphoplasty. Now, kyphoplasty is the approved procedure where the vertebroplasty is not approved now in the current scenario. Now, what is FARC scoring? This is given by the WHO. FARC scoring, it is basically for the prognosis and for the start of the treatment. It is because the DEXA scan was not that much effective in case of prognosis, so FARC score was given by the WHO. This scoring, it has some values. It tells us about the 10-year risk of hip fracture and 10-year risk of uh, major osteoporotic related fracture. If if the FARC scoring, like in case of hip fracture, it is more than 3%, then that is an indication for start of the medical therapy. And in case of major osteoporotic related fracture, it is more than 20%. That is also a indication for the start of the therapy, medical management. So let's talk about the prognosis. Prior fragility fractures, if somebody is having, it is the strongest predictor for the future risk of getting a fracture from the trivial form or the low energy fall. Next prognostic factor we'll talk about is the like fracture risk. There's a 15% increase in the 5-year mortality with the vertebral body fracture due to osteoporosis, and for the hip fracture occurring due to osteoporosis, there's a 20% increase in the mortality.